Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Estate Right Now. Where we talk about real estate matters that matter to you.
There a cough button over there?
Wow. We're live here from Blended Craft Team Studios. My name is Jay Izzo. I am your host. And today we're bringing back Senior Loan Officer Paul Fitts from Advantage Lending. Advantage. I was getting it out and I stopped.
It's a cough button you want?
Man, I'm just telling you. Don't do a workout right before you come into the show.
I ran today before.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's not good.
For Klimt.
Yeah, for Klimt. Yeah. So today's show, you brought up a topic to me that I thought was really interesting, because we have people who are reluctant to sell.
Oh God.
Because they've got a low mortgage rate.
The lowest that anybody's seen in 80 years, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they
lifetime low.
They want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to do it because they don't want to lose the interest rate.
Correct. It's fear.
Right.
It's fear.
Fear. Right.
And the biggest fear is letting go.
And interesting because before we started the show, we talked about FOMO, fear of missing out.
Correct.
But this FOMO, like fear of missing out on buying a new home, isn't strong enough psychologically for them to make a change, which is really interesting.
Right.
Which is really, really interesting because typically FOMO is so powerful that people will do something because they're missing out on something.
Well, in this case, what their FOMO is, their fear, because they've already got it.
Right.
They've already got their arms wrapped around that 3%, 2.75 rate. And it's like looking at Daffy Duck holding on to that pearl going, I'm a happy miser.
Right.
I don't want to let go of my rate.
Right.
If anybody doesn't know the reference.
Yeah. Just watch claymation at Christmas. Right. I mean, that's the best way to do this. There's
cartoons out there. I promise.
There is. There's claymation stuff that happened when we were kids.
Yeah.
All right. So, but you have come up with a creative idea. And I thought this was just really a creative way of thinking about how people can maybe keep that rate and yet look at buying.
Correct.
So talk us through
the whole strategy.
Yeah, the whole strategy of what you're thinking. But because there are questions that I'm going to ask you as you do. But go ahead. What's the strategy that you're looking at?
So several clients. It's not just one or two. Several clients they've been in their house for a long period of time. And a lot of them, they did what everybody's watching the podcast right now. A lot of them refinanced at the bottom of the market as far as rates are concerned.
Right.
And me, I've the 200-year interest rate charts. I show it to people. I talk to them about rates. When you're talking about letting go of the lowest possible mortgage rate that you've seen in 80 years, it does create a fear in people.
Sure.
Because I'm never going to see it again. And oh my God, rates now are 3 times as high. So their payments are going to be astronomically higher than what they would pay if they.
Well, are we 3 times as high?
I mean, I did mortgage rates as low as 2.25% on 30-year fixed. Okay. As of today, rates were 7.5.
Okay.
So literally.
On the lowest possible rate, it's
exactly
3 times. Okay.
It's a 3-time variable.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So several clients have reached out recently and they're like, but I've got this really, really low rate on this house. I'm never going to see this ever again. Mm-hmm. And I've got equity in this house. The house has increased exponentially. I've got equity in this house. I don't want to let it go.
Right.
But I got to move. I don't like my neighbors. The dog barks across the street. They can have 100 reasons.
Or they just found something that they really, really like.
They're downside.
Or they're downside. Or they want something. Or they want to actually go up in
life has happened.
Right.
Life has happened. They want to change. So recently I've been doing numbers for a lot of clients and I said, okay, here's what your payment is going to look like on this new house. Let's just use round numbers. There's no sense in going into real numbers for anybody right now. Let's just use round numbers. One thing that you need to know, for every $100,000 you're going to put on a property, you're going to save about $600 a month. Just use that as a baseline for anything. So if you put $100,000 down on a property, you're going to save $600 a month. I don't care if the rate's 7%. I don't care if the rate's 2%. Basically, 100 grand down is going to save you $600 a month. In real world time, that's a car payment, right?
Sure.
Nowadays, that's a car payment. Okay, so you have to keep numbers in mind. So let's say I've got it. You live in a townhouse, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So let's say I've got a townhouse. My townhouse is worth 400,000. I owe 200,000. The interest rate on the townhouse is 2.5%. It's the low of the lows, right? And so again, I'm not doing the numbers, but let's just say the numbers on that are $1,800 a month for a mortgage. You have 3-bedroom, correct?
Yeah.
3-bedroom,
And a
3.5 bath.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Yep. 2.5.
So being a real estate professional, what could you rent that property out for right now in the prime area where it's located? Just ballpark it for me. Give me a guess.
$2,000.
No,
maybe more.
That property?
Maybe 2,500.
No,
$3,000.
$3,000 easy.
You think $3,000?
Easy. In this market right now, with people moving
Yeah,
here,
I guess so. Because I guess so.
You got two-car garage.
Yeah. 2-car garage, right?
Everything that I'm thinking about. If you can't get $3,000 for, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
$3,000.
$3,000.
And maybe more. You're right.
Correct.
Right. You're right.
So if your payment's $2,000 a month, you can rent it for $3,000 a month. Now you've got $1,000 coming in the door that you didn't have before.
Right.
All right. For a lot of people who are buying a house or thinking about buying the house right now, and this stupid amount of interest rate has shown up and it has scared you from wanting to buy the next house, but you've got this one. You really should think about what your maximized potential on renting this property is. If you can get $1,000, if you can get $1,200 a month, and mind you, the people that you rent to are going to be paying down your mortgage. They're going to be putting money in your pocket, and you're still keeping the 2.5% interest rate. You don't have to refinance because it's an investment property now. Why not keep the rate on that house and become a landlord and diversify your portfolio in real estate? The house is going to continue to appreciate in value in this market.
Yeah, right.
It's not going down anytime soon.
Right.
And you can use that $1,000 every month or more. Depending on the property.
Yeah, because the more I'm thinking about, I was thinking about what we rented it for when we weren't living in it.
Right.
And then it was
that was 10 years ago.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. I'm like going, okay, I've kept the rate the same. It's got to be more than that now. So
the following, no, I'm just kidding. So
Right.
I mean, but that was a decade ago.
Right.
So if you can't rent that property out,
Well, no, because I was renting it then for over
Exactly.
$2,000 a month.
Exactly.
So I mean, yeah. So
it's
it's got
a
to be.
decade. I would almost
And the
guess,
price of that house is doubled.
I would almost
since I
guess that you
purchased
could
it.
probably get $3,500.
Yeah, it's probably pretty close, which would be a $1,500
exactly
bonus.
So if you're getting the extra $1,500 a month, let's say you go out and you look for a house. And today I did a loan for somebody, $400,000 property. They're FHA loan. They're putting down 3.5%. They've got mortgage insurance. I can go to the whole 9 yards. Their payment's going to be about $3,700 a month. That sounds astronomical for a lot of people. But if you're getting $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever from your rental, that is going to offset the difference on where the high interest rates are right now. And you don't have the fear of losing anymore because you still have that property and you still have that great rate.
Well, right. And you're also building wealth.
You're generating wealth, baby.
You're generating wealth at that point too.
Correct. And that person's paying it for you.
Right. Now, this is interesting because it's really thinking a little outside the box, because I don't think anybody's thinking about that right now.
That's right.
I don't think anybody is thinking, well, I can rent my house. And I think there's some people who may have a reluctance to renting their house, but there is a need for executive rentals because we're short on property.
We're short everywhere. Something you'll hear politicians talk about in general. They'll talk about affordable housing. I don't care what party you vote for or what you think about, but you can't have affordable housing until you have available housing. You just you can't.
Right.
I mean, unless you're clicking your fingers and you're saying, "Poof, there's an apartment building," which is almost close to going on these days.
Right, it is. Yeah.
But you can't make housing affordable unless you make it available. And until we get caught up in the housing, lack that we have
Right,
right
yeah.
now, until you get caught up, yeah, prices are going to continue to creep up a little bit on everything, not just owning, but renting.
Renting, yeah, no, renting has gone up, way up.
And
We in this area, it's gone skyrocket.
We still have a ton of people coming here.
Yep, more people than leave, lots more.
And as they come here, they're looking for at least a place to put their head in the interim of either buying or whatever
Right.
whatever the next transition is, so to speak.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the details of how this works. So, as a mortgage lender,
Yeah.
all right, I have this house, all right, this townhouse, and let's say I can rent it for $3,500. Let's say I get a renter, and let's say my expenses are $2,000, as we just outlined.
Correct.
How does that work in terms of my loan with you? Does that change?
Easy. Piece of cake. Now,
Because am I still, is that still a primary residence, or am
not
I?
anymore. It's a rental now.
No.
Your next one is.
Yeah, but my next one is,
Yep.
right? So that interest rate doesn't change.
Never will, as long as you don't refinance it.
So what am I going to have to demonstrate to you in this scenario?
This the beauty of what I do. So let's say I've been living in the property for 5 years, whatever.
Mhm.
I do have this amazingly low rate. I owe half what the value of the property is.
Okay.
I know I can make $1,500 a month. Qualifying for the next loan. Number one, you're going to be qualifying with whatever today's interest rate is. So again, I just told Jay, rates today on a conventional 7.5% today, right? So I'm qualifying with my current income on this new house. Let's say I put down as little as 5%. If I have a lease contract signed by a tenant saying he's going to pay me $3,500 a month in rent, I don't have to count his current payment against this person. Okay.
Mm.
So if you have a mortgage on that property and you're paying $2,000 a month and you've got a lease that says that they're paying $3,500, when I'm qualifying you for the next house, I'm not counting that $2,000 a month against you.
Okay, but are you counting?
Not counting the income yet.
Okay, so you're not counting the income either.
Just counting the payment is now
Okay.
dissolved
Okay.
in the eyes of a mortgage lender.
Okay.
Because somebody has come in and they've said, I will take care of this payment for you every month. Now, in the eyes of lending, how we look at it to make sure the payment is offset. So if the payment is $2,000 a month, we want to see 1.3% higher than that $2,000. So it's
Okay.
$2,000 plus $600. As long as we see a $2,600 payment,
Right.
or a lease,
At least.
as long as we see that $2,600
Right.
lease, then we say, yeah, we won't count that debt against
And
you.
then anything else above that, that's just gravy.
Yep, doesn't matter to us. Doesn't matter to us on the lending side. It matters to you as the person who owns the property and is looking to offset your payment while you're purchasing this new property.
Okay, well, let me throw this at you.
I got verklempt.
That's okay. We're both
Yeah.
struggling with it. All right, let me ask you this though, and maybe this is a possibility for people because I'm now
The juices.
yeah, the gears, the juices, whatever it is, are turning in my head. So, what about, let's say, well, I don't have a lot of extra money, but I've got equity in the house. Can I borrow without having a penalty? So, like, let's say my loan is 50% paid off.
Sure.
I've got tons of equity in the house.
Yep.
Can I pull some of that as a down
You can
payment?
do it as an equity line. If you
That's what I mean.
if you refinance it, you're going to lose
not
the
as,
interest rate.
not as a refinance, but as
Yep.
an equity line
You can do an equity line.
without penalty.
The debt, that part of the debt will be counted against you. So let's say that I
okay.
borrowed $50,000.
Okay.
And the payment on the $50,000 is $500 a month. I'm only using round numbers. I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. So now your payment is not $2,000 a month, it's $2,500 a month on that property. So if I see a lease agreement, then I need to know that again, 1.3% times the
Right.
debts is what I see
Right.
to offset those debts and not count them against you. $3,500 is enough. Obviously, if that's what the
Right.
lease agreement is. But I still need to see it as a mortgage lender to not count that debt against you.
Okay, because I'm thinking about, okay, let's
You can
say,
use the equity while you move forward.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
Can I use the equity moving forward
Mm-hmm.
without penalty? But you're saying, no, I can't use that equity.
No, I'm saying you can, I'm saying, but you still, when you do it, make sure that that payment is thought through in the
Oh,
lease.
I got
Yep.
you. I got you. I got you. I got you.
See, look, I'm catching the verklempt.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
so then it is an opportunity then if you're looking for the extra down payment money.
Correct. It's there. You
It's
can use the equity. You can use the equity in the property. Again, consult with your mortgage lender when you're about to buy a property,
right.
so they can help you walk through this. When we count debts against you, depending on what you're doing, we still need to know how you're coming up with a difference.
Right.
To not use the mortgage payment and the
Right.
equity line payment against you in the process of buying a new property.
Right. Yeah, because I'm just, because what you just said early on when you started, you said, okay, $100,000 is equal to reducing my payment
$600 a month. Yeah.
Right. And if I put down what do I need to put down? I need to put down on a property let's say we're moving up. Let's say we're going to a $700,000 property.
5%.
So 5%. So we're looking at 30
to 35 grand.
35 grand,
Yep.
right? So if I have that 35 grand,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably have
Most
more.
people who are buying a $700,000, if you're buying a $700,000 house, please have $35,000 in the bank. Okay.
Right.
Want to just throw that out there. Otherwise, don't buy.
Well, this is what, and maybe they
I don't want to go back to 2002. Don't do that.
But maybe they do.
Yeah.
But maybe they do. But maybe they go, hey, I want to leave that. I want to take the equity out of the home.
Sure, of course. There's ways. But again,
I
if
think
you're moving up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think is that people aren't thinking outside of the box on this, because there are. I mean, in our area, our equity has just jumped year after year for the last 4 years.
Exponentially.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's been huge.
Yep.
And so when we start thinking about that, there is money available to you.
Correct.
That you have that you're not even thinking about, that can actually get you into that next home.
Right. Oh, and I forgot to tell you the best part about all this.
Okay.
This is the best part. The best part is you still have this house, that $200,000 mortgage, 2.5% interest rate. They've been paying you $3,500 a month. You've been offsetting that payment, plus they've been giving you money to put towards your next property. Now rates are dropping. When rates start dropping, guess what you do? You refinance and you lower your payment. Oh, by the way, they're still paying the same amount of money in rent.
Right.
You're making more money every month.
Right.
You can either use that money to pay down on your mortgage, pay down on that mortgage, do whatever you want.
Right.
But you're making more money. And if they leave, guess what? Because this area continues to grow the way it is, the next tenant that walks in the door, what do, Jay?
Well, they're going to probably pay the same rate, if not more.
Yeah. They're probably going to pay more money in rent for the next tenant that moves in.
Yeah. So you're really not, it's such an interesting concept, because I'm like going, why aren't more people doing this?
Because they don't talk. I mean, my job as a mortgage lender, yes, I get paid to put people in debt. But the truth is, I should be your first phone call. I should be the advisor. Why aren't you looking at money this way?
Right.
Because you have an asset that has the lowest interest rate you've seen in 80 years. Why are you selling it?
Right. You can leverage this.
Yeah, every single day. Right. You're never, I mean, I'm not saying rates won't drop back down. I predict a new bottom for us in the future will be around 4.5. That's probably where it'll hit bottom again.
Right.
But in saying that, why aren't you taking advantage of 80-year low interest rates in every single capacity?
And I can't get past the idea of going, listen, you now have 2 properties. I mean, what's the worst? I mean, if the worst, right, you're going to sell one of them.
If the bottom is falling out in the world,
right,
and you have a house that's worth $400,000, you only owe $200, and you still sell it for $300. Guess who's walking away with?
You're
profit?
still walking away with money.
You're still walking away with money.
Right.
It's a situation where you're in a no lose scenario, and something I told you earlier, about FOMO, when we started talking about fear of missing out.
Right.
I told Jay I got a new acronym for it. I call it FOWL, FOWL, fear of wrongfully losing.
Okay.
You're not losing. You're only telling yourself if I got to sell this house and get rid of my 3% rate, I'm losing. You're not losing. You can keep it.
Yeah, you could still keep it. And again, it's just such an interesting, and I just think it's an exciting way for people to rethink about their property, and that we're not thinking about that. And then it just makes me go, okay, what else are we not thinking about?
Oh,
The possibilities that we aren't doing it, that we are not taking advantage of. But this is such a great way to take advantage of it, not lose it, keep your property, have a rental, bring in more income, and at the same time reducing the cost of your house, even at a higher interest rate, knowing, and also I could get equity that I could put into it, and then knowing that in the future with the new house that I'm getting at 7.25, 7.5, I can refinance that when the rates drop.
6.5, 6.25, 6%, 5.5.
And how many times can I refinance?
As many times as
See,
you want.
Yeah, there's the ticket, right?
Exactly.
As soon as it, I mean, even if it drops 0.5%, I can refinance.
Yeah.
Drops another 0.5%, I can refinance.
Anytime. And a lot of people are not thinking about this. They just feel like, oh, well, I've got all this equity in this house and I need. No, I mean, it's not stranded on a deserted island.
Right.
It's there if you really need it. Down the road, when rates drop and there's a rebalancing in the entire rate market, yeah, maybe you'll lose that 2% interest rate and maybe it'll be a 4% interest rate for you on that property one day because you want to do some kind of, rebalancing with your funds and whatever. Fine. But in the meantime, use it for the best of your ability. Use that 2.5,
Right.
use that 3% interest rate for your best of your ability. Let somebody else be the offset for your next house.
So I guess the one thing, as it's qualifying, nothing has changed
Nope.
at all. I mean, as long as you are where you are, you demonstrate the income, you demonstrate your debt, you have to go through the whole thing as you normally do.
Yep.
Right.
Same DTI, same credit.
Right. Same credit. Everything is the same. Nothing has changed. The only thing that you're adding to that is that now you have a renter, which you're going to have to get up front.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Which isn't hard in this market right now.
In this market?
Right now.
Oh,
It's not
darn.
hard. Right. Yeah. Because there's just such a limited number of houses. So that all stays the same. You've got some equity. You can use that if you want to as part of your down payment, right? That you want to get into. So it just seems like a no-brainer. I just don't know why people are not doing it.
It's like, oh my God, this is an actual no-brainer.
I'm looking for something that says.
You're looking for the negative?
Yeah, I'm looking for something that says this is not a good idea, but I can't find one.
I would tell anybody who's thinking about moving at the moment, right? Anybody who's thinking about it, I would go ahead and just put an equity line on my property now, 40, 50 grand, depending on what the property is worth. If you don't have an equity line on it, go ahead and do one now. It costs you this much to do an equity line as long as you're not tapping off of it.
Right.
A lot of people like myself, I'm a credit union member. It was easy for me to get an equity line on my property. Right. I really think that if you prepare yourself for what you may do, not necessarily saying you're going to do it today, but if you prepare yourself for what you may do, the process is really seamless for you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Well, we've done our times.
What?
Yeah.
Bill asked a question. Will rates drop soon in your opinion?
Oh, well, that's a great question, Bill Clayton.
Hey, Bill, love you, brother, first of all. Second of all, when we say drop, it really depends on what you're talking about, but are we going to see the 2.5% and 3% rates that we had 2 and 3 years ago? Maybe, depending on what happens in the future with our political climate. But I truly see by the end of 2024, I see rates channeling somewhere between the 5%, 4.5% rate market, just simply because no presidential election right now is going to have a 7% interest rate going in.
Yeah, I know. I don't see that.
It'd be,
yeah. Well, and all the experts that you and I know, Barry Habib and everybody else is also
my buddy Barry,
is also saying that we're going to see it drop. I mean, we may see. I know they're talking about 2 rate hikes, but we may see a little bump, but then we're going to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be a gradual decline. You will see I don't know if you want to call it a mini recession or what do you want to call it, but you will see a little bit of a recession going in all across the pond right now, and even in Australia, they're having GDP problems. So,
one point we forgot to mention.
Oh, sorry.
And that is this: if you do this now, you're not going to be in competition.
Yeah, we've talked about that,
but
to death, right?
But it's really true.
But it's accurate because, again, if you wait for rates to drop and you go into the feeding frenzy with everybody else, you're then making your property, the one that you're bidding on right now, 10, 20, 40, 70, 100 grand
you're
more
in a bidding war
than what you need to. That's why, again, I'm telling all of my clients, buy the property that suits your life now.
Right.
Because when rates drop, you'll get a better payment. And meanwhile, while they're out there waiting for the great rate to show up, the feeding frenzy will begin all
Right.
over again, and the market will just skyrocket.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, tell people how they get a hold of you, Paul.
Hey, first of all, Jay Izzo, thank you.
I know, thanks,
Thank
man.
you for having me on the
No,
show.
I'm glad to have you. Always have you back.
Again, my name is Paul Fitz. I'm at Advantage Lending. My phone number is 919-612-0043. 919-612-0043. My email address is pfitz@advantagelending.com. pfitz@advantagelending.com. Hit me up, ask me questions. I would love to be your advisor.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's awesome too, by the way. Hey, folks, that's the show.
He's awesome.
Folks, it's the show. We say to you every week, listen, you got a lot of choices. You chose us. Hey, tell your friends and give us a positive review.
Share.
We're going to be back next week. Another great show. It's going to be another great guest to say to you all over the world. Ciao, everybody.